get a drink at 1, and then you can go to the next, put your arm up and have a chat with somebody.
That's a concept that we're actually going to be implementing at our show this year, is kind of the Genius Bar idea. Not maybe with the drinks, but we're doing a new digital publication. So like getting help, how do we download the app? How does it work? How does it look? How do you read it? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that provided. And hopefully it will be an interesting concept.
Great. It sounds like you're working on just some really phenomenally interesting things. So
trying to, yeah.
Now, do you have like sort of one, because you said your events are really primarily networking, so are you finding that, so you're going to do the trade show, you're going to, get the Genius Bars, what are some other, what would you say is your like one big networking idea that really seems to work for your group?
They really like being in one place, so having the ability to meet people very quickly, and this is not a crowd that's afraid to say, my name is so-and-so and I work at this company and I think we should do some business together. They're like networking 101. They know exactly what they're doing. They won't spend more than 2 minutes with anybody. So being able to facilitate that is really important.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think that any last, if you're thinking about how your communication strategy is going to roll out from this year to next year, is there anything more that you're going to try to continue, like build on the LinkedIn? Or do you think you're going to get some of those late adopters starting to adopt some technology?
I absolutely think so. I think with this last holiday season, a lot more of our members probably got tablets of some sort, and they would probably, I think that's going to keep growing, and so we need to stay in front of that.
Would you consider a mobile app for the event?
We do a mobile app as well. So just really kind of integrating some of that.
And can you, within that app, are you starting to look at doing a community that can perhaps build off of that? Or
we do have a community through our website, and we're redoing a lot of that right now. So
difficult, isn't it? Because it's difficult to get people into understanding that stream and the value of it.
Yeah, so we're picking a new association management system. So through that, we're going to have access to roll in people's LinkedIn information to make it a little bit easier for them to use and maybe spend a little bit more time with that.
Yeah, I think that sounds, I think you've probably taken them from like sort of like 20 to 80 in the last year, haven't you?
Try to.
I think that's awesome.
There's a lot of little things that can be done, and that's really the important part of any job, is just make small incremental changes that are really easy to implement, that nobody's going to freak out about. And then focus on some bigger things. Like when I was at the digital disruption session this morning, how do we bring technology into our meeting is a huge concept that would need a lot of conversation. So I can't just like implement that. But there's a lot of other things like a microsite. Easy.
Right. I think that's, what? You're so smart. I love that. Thank you so much, Christine Melendez. This is Tahira Ending, roving reporter, signing off for Meetings Podcast from PCMA Convening Leaders. Thank you. All right, this is Tahira Ending, roving reporter for Meeting Podcast. I'm here with Chef Kay from the Orange County Convention Center. Chef Kay has done an awesome job at the PCMA Convening Leaders Conference of serving great, healthy, brain-friendly food to 3,800 delegates for a few days. So, Chef Kay, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with us. You have some great philosophies on food that I've appreciated since we started working on this session that we're going to do together on selling change, how to make healthy menus a reality with Andrea Sullivan. And I just talk to me about some fresh food.
Sure. I believe that fresh food or healthy food, it doesn't have to be bad food.
No, it should be delicious.
It should
tasty.
Be. We've started a wellness program here at the Convention Center, and with a lot of the groups that are coming in, they want healthy food, and coming up with healthy food that is not scary food, so that
People can pronounce it.
What's that?
People can pronounce it and they recognize it.
Sure they can, and it's identifiable, and we've implemented several things that help with the healthy and fresh food, and that's something simple as not using salt when we make our steamed vegetables, and so that it is automatically healthy. And then if they want a little salt, they can put a little salt. So
Their
it
choice.
doesn't. You don't have to have a lot of butter, And we do a fried rice where we actually use brown rice and we use grains and sprouts, fresh sprouts. not just mung bean sprouts, but we actually get fresh sprouts from a farm that we give them a week's notice, and they're sprouting fresh sprouts for us.
And now you also said that you're thinking about, the possibility that you might just be growing a few things here. And I think that when you start talking about feeding 3,000, 10,000, 17,000 people, that's so amazing to me that, even if you decided you were only growing food for groups of 50, that you're even taking on the philosophy of everything being fresh.
Right.
At
And
a
local.
convention center level, at a local is great. I mean, the things we talk about are exactly that: fresh, local, organic, seasonal.
Living greens.
Oh, living things. What a concept.
Yeah. We had the living mushrooms today. They were living.
Oh,
if
that's
you
great.
saw on the pasta stations, the actual
I
living.
saw Andrea eating the pasta, so that they had the living mushrooms.
Yeah, and we had the fresh living mushrooms right there.
I think that's fantastic.
So and even again with salt, and salt's not good for you, and we know that, but playing with seasoned salts or smoked salts or different types of sea salts, but again using a lot less.
Which I think is great. I think the salt is one of the big things. And we've also noticed one of the other things you're doing here is the water with the fruits and things in it. So people have the alternative of plain water, bottled water, or water that's flavored.
Yes, and it's very refreshing. It's refreshing.
I have some cucumber mint water now. I'm loving it.
Right, and it doesn't hit you with all that sugar burst that a soda will.
Exactly. I think that's one of the things when we start to look at it. It cuts down on your waste and consumption, which is awesome. And again, it's hydrating people, which I think is, I think that, like I said, I think what you guys have done, we've seen some really innovative lunches. So one of the lunches that we saw here actually had the room broken into quadrants for over 1,000 people each.
Yes.
So there's French food, a healthy food station, the tapas, and
it was a comfort food.
And a comfort food, and.
Yeah.
And
but
I
it
think,
still was not a heavy comfort food.
And the other thing that I think is really important about having a comfort food is, but sometimes when we do travel, that's what we want.
Right.
And so
it's very identifiable.
Yeah. So to me, that you were able to create 4 separate meals for 4,000 people was a phenomenal testament to what you guys are doing here. It was really spectacular.
And did you see our living greens salad bar today?
The living green salad bar was excellent.
And
you know what else I really liked that you did today was the variations on the Caesar salad. So I had the vegetable Caesar salad.
Right, with the blueberries and the strawberries.
Yeah, so I think that you can do some really simple things with food.
And it's not scary.
It's not scary, it's delicious, and it's something that, you come away from that lunch and you feel good and prepared for the afternoon and ready to go, and I think that that's really critical. So I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The sweet potatoes with the
sweet potatoes and that delicious beef. Yeah, no, I think, and your homemade pickles. Let's talk about those homemade pickles, because who would go to a convention center and think that they would make homemade pickles? That's just craziness.
Yeah, and the story behind that is that because conventions go up and go down, we would always have byproduct because of the changing, or you can never nail exactly how many of some of the things you need. And we would end up with peppers and cucumbers, and we ended up pickling them. So now we have to order for those because everybody wants them.
You know what? And they were great. One of the best pickles I've ever had. So, Chef, thank you so much for sharing your philosophies with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your food with us. I really appreciate that. And I've just heard nothing but positive comments, and a lot of comments around, again, that it's healthy and delicious. And for these road warriors, they're so happy. So thank you very much. This is Chef Kay of the Orange County Convention Center, and Tahira Endine, roving reporter, signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tahira Endine, roving reporter for Meeting Podcast. I'm here with the amazing, fantastic, uber smart Jeff Hurt of Velvet Chainsaw. Now, Jeff, we're here at PCMA Convening Leaders. You've done some excellent and interesting sessions. One provocatively entitled Brain Candy. So what are we talking about in Brain Candy?
Well, first off, thanks for the nice compliment. Paychecks in the mail. It was called Brain Candy, Your Experimental Meetings Laboratory. And so I had 5 room sets in one room.
It's a lot.
And it's a lot. And then everybody rotated through at least 4 of the sets. They experienced the 5th set with me. And one of the areas was dedicated to places. And this is research from Stanford School University that we need to design our venues thinking differently instead of general session, breakouts, lunch, breakouts, to start thinking instead about these terms. Where's home base? What are gathering spaces? What are your transition spaces? And where are your service and support spaces? If you designed a conference with that mindset, that where is home base, where everybody can come back to, find their like-minded community members, what would you design in that area? So just take that little nibble, that golden nugget from the design school in Stanford University, and think about, what if we did home base, gathering spaces, transition spaces, and support and service spaces? How would our conference be different? And how would the attendees experience be different?
And we're not looking for an answer right now, I know that.
It's a rhetorical question,
It is, but I think that, you know what, I think that it's about time that meetings started to really go back to that end in mind, and what is the attendee going to experience, and how can we take all of the things we're doing all year and culminate them into this one thing and make it so that it's, actually user-friendly.
Yep, how to do it.
I like it. Thank you very much,
Thank
Jeff
you.
Hurt. Here at Endine, roving reporter with Meeting Podcast. I'm here with Richard Allchild from IMEX. And Richard, I've mostly invited you here today because of your dreamy accent. But we also thought it would be great to talk about reimagined trade shows, because we think that IMEX has been doing a fantastic job of what a trade show looks like. I mean, you've obviously had huge success in the American market. You've come to PCMA to learn even more, which I think is super cool. So maybe you could just tell me what sort of what are the big global thoughts that IMEX has around what a trade show is looking like now?
With the trade show, what we try and do is take away sort of the guesswork of going to the show. Like with our online appointments and the hosted buyers that come to the show, you can have like a full schedule of appointments before you come with pre-qualified buyers. So you're not just there thinking how many people are going to stop by trying to grab people in the aisles. Although it is still a normal trade show and you have that element to it, before the show you can still have over 100, 200 appointments, like up to 1,000 appointments depending on the size of your booth, with pre-qualified hosted buyers. So that's the main benefit of having the show like IMEX. Other things we're doing, and you'll notice if you come to IMEX, is the feel of the show when you're walking around and just how it looks. There's no pipe and drape, very few hardwood booths. It's all custom booths with like meeting space, and then on top of that, all the larger booths are having food and beverage, receptions, and so it's just to promote networking on your booth rather than just sort of stop by, give us your business card and walk away. It's just to create an atmosphere of actual meetings and business being done on the booth.
So I really think you guys have done a great job, because as you know, we exhibit with Vancouver there, so I have a really good working knowledge of both being an exhibitor and also being on the floor. And I think the first year, would it be fair to say that the host and buyer program, being new to America, was a bit tougher for people to adopt? But you still had great buy-in. But I think by the second year, certainly the energy that I saw on the floor was just people were like, we get it, we love that there's hosted buyer appointments, we love knowing who we're going to see from a buyer perspective, and from the exhibitor perspective, they love that balance of having, yes, the appointments, but also the ability for people to still drop by their booths.
Yeah, it was quite a long education process, and it's still ongoing. The first year, not many of the Americans knew what we were up to, and then, as you said, the second year they get it, then they're making their appointments, walk around just viewing what's there. Yeah. And obviously for the American market, what's great is that we have exhibitors from all across the world. Yes. It's fully international, and so it is pretty much like the world in one place for them. So I think it's still an ongoing process, and we're obviously looking to increase the hosted buyer program year on year as the amount of exhibitors increase. Yeah. So we're going out as much as we can.
Because you're growing this year.
We'll be growing this year. Obviously last year, from the first to second year, we grew. Yeah. It was 29%.
Wow.
And so this year again, obviously don't know yet, but we will grow, and we've moved into halls A and B. So we were sold out last year.
Well, and I think the other thing that I really liked last year was the way that you incorporated education. You know, obviously there's the MPI on the front end and PCMA on the back end, and the association and the corporate focuses, which were great. but I think also the way that you brought in the roundtables and the campfires and some of those elements really gave people the opportunity to enjoy that bite-sized education, really almost as a bit of a respite in some ways, but also as a re-energizer for when they went back out